Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be starting on our first meat project. It is indeed a cooking or something that I will be cooking. But what I will be trying to do today is to make some prepared meats. In this case, some cooked ham, or in this case we will be smoking our ham, but to make some smoked ham. This is pretty easy. What we will be doing first is, of course, seasoning our meat, and this will not be through just application of salt and pepper, but we will actually be using a brine, which is nothing more than, well, a solution of salt and sugar into water. So let's get started and let's prepare our brine. We are down to preparing our brine. Nothing really difficult about it. What we see here is a container. I think at the moment we have about 3 liters. I will be adding about 1 or 2 more liters of water, in which we're going to add a solution of salt and sugar. My magic ratio, to about 5 liters, I add about 400 grams of salt, and there we go, 100 grams of sugar. And we have also provided some spices that we've crushed and given a slight toasting over low heat, just to release some of the aromatics and oils. In here there is some thyme, some cinnamon, some powdered garlic, a little bit of caraway seed by mistake, but I left it in, some mustard seeds, juniper berries, and of course the bay leaf. We will also be dumping this into our mixture, and if you like, you can just mix it up somewhat, use a spoon, or just leave as is, it will dissolve. I will be throwing my little piece of roast, it's a leg roast, in there probably a little later this evening for around about 12 hours. So overnight we will be throwing this in, and tomorrow morning we will have a brined piece of meat. Now, brining is a very old technique of preservation, which basically makes the salt and sugar provide that the meat in itself becomes too salty or too sugary, if you like, too salty or too sweet for bacteria to be able to thrive inside of it. So as soon as meat is meat has been properly brined, it can no longer spoil. That being said, it can go off as of taste, it can go dry. So, but basically, properly cured ham can no longer spoil. It will keep, in theory, indefinitely. Again, as for flavor and texture, that's another matter. But we've made our brine. As I said, in a few hours I will dump my meat inside, and tomorrow morning we will be able to pick it out, and later in the day we will be able to smoke our ham. As you can see, we are in the process of lighting our charcoal. Now, I do want to stress one little thing, and that is, especially when you're working in a smoker as such, if you're trying to smoke something, what we don't want to do is put our meat on too early. So we really want to be waiting until we get nice glowing coals, no more fire, no more smoke that is producing, otherwise you are going to get an unpleasant smoky flavor in your meat. The smoke that we have will come from our smoking chips, but not so much from the fire. But leave these coals to get nice and hot, nice and glowing, and then we can basically add our meat and add our smoking chips. So as you can see, we just prepared our smoke mixture. This is a mixture of some applewood chips, cherry wood, some vine wood, and some fine sawdust. Now, I always work in the same way if I'm making something to go on a hot smoker, namely I'm using a piece of aluminum foil to make a little pouch. This way you get a more, at least in my mind, you can indeed throw chips straight onto the fire, but using the pouch you basically get a more gradual burn, a more gradual smoke, and at least as to my experience, a better smokiness in your meat. So we are going to seal this up, and when our coals are ready and glowing, we can add this to the coals and add our meat. We are now ready to smoke our meat. Our coals are nice and hot. To the bottom you can actually see a pan with a little bit of water just to keep it moist. And the only thing that's left to do is basically add the cover. And as you can see, we have a thermometer here which should read about 60 to 80 degrees, and which we will be holding for about 2 to 2.5 hours, right up until the fact that we got a nice smoky and cooked ham. What I do love about the process is that basically your meat sits pretty high above the coals, so that you get a very even, or your meat gets evenly cooked through without ever going dry. So again, this is a process will take about 2 to 2.5 hours, and as you can see, we will have some lovely smoky ham as an end result. After 2 hours on the smoker, our ham is fully cooked and ready. She smells very lovely. Some of this stuff will be preserved and used on sandwiches or other, but we are going to slice up a few. I'm going to let this rest for a few minutes, then slice up a few big slices for dinner. So let's plate up. This is how we serve up today's dinner. So just a little bit of ham, a nice side of some freshly made applesauce, a few potato balls. I'm going to serve this with a lovely cold beer, and that will be dinner for today. All I can say is it's something, if you have a smoker, worthwhile trying. If you don't have one, you can make oven roasted ham just as nice. But try this and enjoy.